program will begin shortly. Launch sequence. Activate. Warning, the following content is not politically correct. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the channel today, everyone. This is Transform to Freedom. I'm Sarah Higdon. It's good to be back this week. Hope y'all had a good week. I gotta tell you, my week was pretty amazing. If you guys know, Blair White was in town on her Blair White Takes America tour. And if you haven't, if you're in one of the cities that's near one of the cities that she's having an event in, go check it out, support Blair. Had like just an amazing time meeting everybody that was there. And it's always good to see Blair, hang out with Blair, and Andrew as well. So if you remember from the Jubilee episode, it was kind of a reunion. We were obviously missing Jessica, but Jessica lives, I think, on the other side of the country, so that one would have been hard. Andrew both live not too far from each other, so he made the drive out to Atlanta, and we had such a it was amazing. And I don't know how Blair's going to release the episodes. We did film. Obviously, if you saw, Blair released a video yesterday with some of the people that were there, but we were filming a full episode for her podcast channel, I think. And so I don't know how the episode's going to go, when they're going to start releasing those, but it was yeah, so it was fun. But yeah, just like I said, there was like the VIP like meet and greets and stuff like that with people, and so I got to see all those people. A lot of my good friends, a lot of people I know and friends and everything like that came out to support as well. And what's really interesting, I haven't really spoke too much here in Atlanta, and so even some of my closer friends, this was, the first time, maybe the second time that they've ever seen me speak in person. So it was really cool. It was really great to have such amazing support out there. And yeah, Blair's doing some really cool stuff, and some of the stories that people were telling during the Q&A and whatnot were really moving. And so I know Blair released some of that today or yesterday. You saw some of the one of those stories was at least from Atlanta. So I would say, oh, my dogs are barking. 1 second. Okay. Sorry, my dog was barking. No, there weren't Atlanta Braves tank tops at all for sale. The only ones that were for sale there were Blair's merchandise, but no. I don't actually. I do have a Braves tank top though. I know, John, you come in here and you want to just see the tank tops. The other thing, so we're gonna have 2 episodes this week. So I hope y'all are ready. Because so y'all know I'm the digital marketing manager over at Free the People, and if you see the new book on the bookshelf, that is a book published by Logan Albright, who is our head writer and does all our music and does a lot of he kind of a jack of all trades over at Free the People. Well, he wrote this book. It's called Freedom Over Fear, and it's out on Amazon. But if you go to use the link in my description down below, there is a link to just the Free the People website. I would definitely say go click on that link. It's available. There's a link from the Free the People website that will take you to the Amazon site. So definitely go check that out. It's a great book, and it's like I said, it's called Freedom Over Fear. And me and Logan will talk about the concept behind it, and everything like that. So come with questions. We're going to be live streaming at 7:00 on Thursday. So that should be fun. So yeah, that's happening. So it's going to be good. So, but let's get into it. Y'all know we like to, for this show, we like to go back and talk about, the first thing we like to do is kind of load up and talk about stuff that we've talked about in past episodes, give updates, everything like that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the eating the cats and dogs. I think it's important. We need to be. I think it's important in general that we're getting our facts straight and we're being fact based, because we're having. It's important that we are not lying like the left. I think it's important to be objective. I mean, I am an objective journalist. I try to get the facts right every time. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, one of the reasons why I admire somebody like Andy No so much was because he went back and corrected the record, corrected the story that he had gotten wrong. And so I think that's always important. Now, there is no direct evidence as of now that the Haitian immigrants, now see, I'm saying it very specifically, the Haitian illegal immigrants in Springfield, actually, they're not even illegal. They are the Haitian migrants who came here on asylum claims, who were placed in Springfield, Springfield, Illinois. There is no direct facts that they are eating cats and dogs and domestic animals in Springfield. However, ABC fact checked this, said they talked to the town, the city mayor, the Springfield city mayor, and they were the one that said it's not happening at all. And he hasn't heard of any reports, I believe is what they said. They said he hasn't heard of it. But the problem is, there's a video from that same mayor admitting that he's heard the reports. So here's the video.
Laws and culture is 180 degrees different of what they're used to. And one of the things that I heard that bothered me very much, I've actually had quite a few people contact me here lately, is some pretty horrid things occurring to domesticated animals in the neighborhood. We've had some stuff in the park that, again, they're being taken advantage of for reasons other than, and if you shake your head, Brian.
No. I asked me if there was proof. I just don't have proof of it.
I have the same thing. People that have confided in me have asked me for anonymity. I can't give their names up.
I mean, we haven't seen the proof that you're telling me, and I've heard about it too.
Yeah, laws and culture is 180 degrees different of what they're used to. And one of the things that I heard.
So you hear at the very end there, the city manager actually says, yes, I've heard the reports. So there's no proof. We're still worrying about the proof, but there's no reports. Now, again, the thing is, these Haitian migrants have been shipped here from, or have come up to the U.S. on asylum claims because gangs of cannibals have taken over in Haiti. Remember the guy Barbecue who was like eating people? Now, I don't think it's like so. I don't think it's so far fetched that if they were eating people, like the gangs down there were like eating people, that the guy's name was Barbecue, that they would come up here and eat pets. But again, there is no complete evidence. Now, the Biden-Harris administration is warning Americans to not travel to Haiti because of a high risk of kidnapping, sexual assault, murder. So again, this is where people are coming from with a cultural background like this. It's getting bad, and so the advisory highlights the country's deteriorating security situation, which has worsened since March, when thousands of inmates escaped from 2 of Haiti's largest prisons after armed gangs stormed the facility, and they've been under a state of emergency ever since, right? So don't go to Haiti, and I don't think it's unreasonable to think that some of these people may have made it up here, I don't know. So again, not fact. There's enough to question whether it's happening or not, but at this time we still don't have full-blown proof. Okay. And now, kind of speaking on this fact, and this is why I think it's so important, because when we tell a lie, when we get the facts wrong and don't correct that, it like the leftists can say, see, they're making this stuff up. If you made that up, why would I think that you're not making something else up? Why, if you're making up something as, like they're eating the cats and dogs, then how do I know you're not making, the whole issue like we talked about last week, where the Harris administration, Harris had supported using taxpayer money to pay for sex change operations for migrants who were detained. They didn't believe that. They thought that was crazy. But they actually did the right thing. Now, over the weekend, I'm going to tell y'all, yesterday was a crazy day for me. Actually, and it started Saturday night. So, look, and this is, and I do want to put this out there, that this isn't shade or anything like that. To Nick, me and Nick, I like Nick, so I came into this conversation just very respectfully questioning the narrative, like I would do with anyone. So if you watch the clip, you see it's Kamala Harris on Oprah, and the claim is that apparently Kamala Harris had a teleprompter during her interview with Oprah. So saying that the whole interview was completely scripted and she knew the answers. Now I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons why it was even easier, it was one of the bigger things to question, was because Kamala was all over the place. And she can generally, this is one thing I will say, when she has prepared, like at the debate, for example, she was very good at just at memorized lines and speaking. She wasn't all over the place. So if she had a teleprompter, it didn't make sense that she would have kind of come across so cringeworthy, crazy during this interview. Now, so Nick put this out there, and as you see, my first thing I say is, to play devil's advocate, the teleprompter could just be Oprah's, because if you look again, this is off to her left, or this is over Harris's shoulder. It's not necessarily in her line of sight. It's over her shoulder this way. And it's Oprah's studio. So studios all have teleprompters, like they all do. Every person that most people I know that do stuff like this, a lot of times have prompters. All news and media and everything like that. I don't have a teleprompter for this show. I do have a teleprompter for some of my scripted videos. So I do own one that I can use for different stuff. I actually have an app on my phones for doing reels now that is a teleprompter. So it makes it easier to do the content. And so Oprah can't memorize all that. So my question was just that teleprompter could just be Oprah's for the intro, and it has the questions that she was going to ask on it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Kamala's answers were ever on it, or that she could even see a teleprompter during the interview. So Nick says, and again, this was like late. So this was posted late on Saturday night. So I don't know when we started talking, when we were messaging. And so he said the first several lines were she was reading off the teleprompter. I said, but again, not looking into it too deep, I was like, okay, well, but that again, okay, so her final statement's on there, but that could have been set up more like a speech. Like she had a pre-planned final statement, and that was it. It doesn't necessarily, it's not indicative that, she was reading the answers during the interview. I'm just, again, playing devil's advocate. Don't know the answer, and I'm trusting that Nick's telling me the truth here, that those were Kamala's lines on there. And then of course, yeah, Mike Cernovich jumps in. I'm like, what even timeline is this? Mike Cernovich jumps in and says, to play devil's advocate, then when proven wrong, I wasn't proven wrong. You changed to a totally different line of argument, low IQ and dishonest, which is really then to be interviewed. And I mean, again, it's late Saturday night. Says, is the closing statement her interview? Is there proof that she was reading the answers to the question off the prompter? No. If she didn't read the answers to the question, then this is a non-issue. And I think that even most politicians on any side would do it. Then I posted this. I mean, that's a camera. There could be a prompter over on this side. I don't know, but that would be, Oprah's got two prompters. We do know Oprah has two prompters, one that's like in the center aisle, and then one that's right over Kamala's back. But now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? So, and then again, what timeline is this? If I click on Nick's post yesterday, let me see, where is it? Is it on? Yeah, can you see it? Alex Jones jumps in and just says, yes, that those were her lines. But again, now let's look at this, because it's not true. If you look at the lines that it says, and actually yesterday morning too, Tim Pool showed this too, and I had already kind of gone on here and looked up the transcripts from the event. So the transcripts from the event actually prove that those are Oprah's lines that are on there. You can hear it.
More about how you can register. We hope you keep fighting for us and the country we deserve to have. Thank you so much. Thank you.
This says, fighting for the country that we have and deserve to live in. To find out more about where you can go vote is what she was about to say. Those are Oprah's lines. And again, is this wouldn't be a huge story other than this video. This got 13 million views, and now the left is going, oh, here we go again. The right is coming out with all these conspiracy theories, and we need to, and they're they'll believe anything and all this stuff. I think it's important, even if I think it's important to question. You know, I've gone down a lot of conspiracy rabbit holes, and I do believe in more conspiracy theories than I've ever believed in my life at this point in time. But I think that there needs to, like, the vetting for this, because then they'll just go, hey, they're gonna go in, they're gonna, this blows up, and it's wrong. And again, now I see, I mean, this is still blowing up. My comment is still blowing up, and now people are attacking Nick. And like I said, I like Nick. I follow Nick, and we talk. But I don't. I think there needs to be, like, I thought he was going to delete this. He actually hasn't. He didn't delete this yet. But I think we need to do a better job of vetting information. Otherwise, you get this whole scandal with the eating the cats and dogs, where the left doesn't care. Most of the people that are voting for Kamala Harris, they hear this, they hear their news. People say that this crazy conspiracy theory was wrong. They're not going to go do their own research. They're not the ones that are on Twitter. So then they come in and then they show this and they say, oh, they came up with this conspiracy theory. And it's losing. I think these are what I would consider unforced errors. It's like Donald Trump going after Taylor Swift. After Taylor Swift told people, she said who she was voting for, and then didn't tell anybody. She said, go do your own research and vote for who you think is going to be the best. That's not a straight out endorsement to say, this is who you should go vote for, right? It's not like what Haley Williams from Paramore did this weekend. But it's like, I think I think it's an unforced error. And honestly, the reason why we're not talking about that, and it didn't get any bigger than that, was because there was a second assassination attempt on President Trump. Otherwise, we'd still be talking about why Donald Trump hates Taylor Swift. And it just doesn't make sense. It's actually just going to more push people away because it just comes across as petty. And again, it's unforced errors. I think that somebody like, it's interesting because Taylor Swift was getting attacked by those on the left because, one, she's a billionaire, and two, she and Brittany Mahomes are friends, and Brittany Mahomes has been praised by Trump and endorsed Trump herself, and the left was melting down. Like, no, you can't, like, trying to say you can't be friends with people politically different than you. And so she came out and said, I'm voting for Harris, but, go do your own research and vote who you think would be best. And I think that could be a real healing effect on the country, even though I disagree with who she's voting for. It's her friendship with, like, Brittany Mahomes that's going to actually help, kind of unite people again, to where we can actually disagree on politics again without, losing friendships over it. That would be a wonderful world to go back to. And I think that most people in the world are still at that point. I have a lot of friends on the left that we just don't talk politics, and that's the way it should be. Talking about endorsements though, like, and I agree with what Pharrell Williams kind of said here. And it goes back to as well. We talked about Elton John being friendly with Trump, praising Trump. It's like, he may not agree with him, but I think Pharrell's got it right. He says, nobody asked you. And he tells celebs to shut up about political endorsements. Yeah, I appreciate this sentiment. Like, this is the thing is, if I can tell you, I mean, this is what I do for a living. I'm going to tell you who I'm going to vote for. But in the past, I generally don't talk about, actually I do. I always talk about who I'm going to vote for, but it's like, we always kind of do it, but it seems like celebrity endorsements, it alienates your audience. Like, I love Pharrell's music, but if I like Taylor Swift, but it just kind of like makes me cringe when I see them alienating like 50% of their intended audience, right? What could be a big chunk of their audience. And it's just bad for business, I think. And I think celebrities, though, get this they get this complex. I mean, it comes with being a celebrity sometimes, I think, is that you promote your, like, you think that people really care about what your opinions are about stuff, that you're so important that you have to talk about politics. And I think you don't. You don't. Nobody really cares who you're voting for. You're not like, I have never once thought, oh, who is my favorite, celebrity voting for? Like, that was going to change my mind on who I voted for. I think that's why it was actually really good again when I've seen quite a few people after Taylor Swift came out just saying that they're not telling who that they're going to vote for, but they just said, hey, I'm just going to say, get registered to vote and go vote, regardless of who you vote for. I am not going to tell you, I'm not going to give you my opinions on politics. Like, you're not a political expert. You're just a normal person that's going to be voting politics. Like, you're doing a whole lot of other stuff than worrying about politics on a daily basis. You're not, reading news articles. You're not going into the research on what they actually believe. You're not, doing a lot of this due diligence. I mean, like, you think, again, Haley Williams from Paramore read off of a script and was talking about Project 2025, which again is just like towing the line. Like, it's repeating the talking points of the left. When anybody in their real sense of, if in their right mind is going to not talk about Project 2025, if they're going to tell you why they're voting for Harris, but they can't because she actually doesn't have policy positions. Most people that are voting for her are voting against Trump. It's people that are voting for Trump and people that are voting against him. There's not a ton of people out there that are voting for Harris. And apparently, I mean, I don't remember what the statement that Taylor Swift made was, but she's not even voting for Harris. She's voting for, I guess, Tim Walz and his protection of the LGBT community, which again, I am vehemently disagree with. I honestly don't think that Taylor Swift has done a lot of research into it, and she's trying to get back into the good graces of the queer community. I don't know. So yeah, he says, tell celebrities to shut up about the matter. I don't do, his response clear. I don't do politics. I get annoyed sometimes when you see celebrities trying to tell you who to vote for. There are celebrities that I respect that have an opinion, but not all of them. One of them, I hate this. Now, I'm one of them people who says, what the heck? Shut up. Nobody asked you. When people get out there and get self-righteous and they roll up their sleeves and stuff, and they are out there walking around with placard, shut up. So no, I would rather stay away. I'd rather stay out of the way, and obviously I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote how I'm going to vote. I care about my people and I care about the country, but I feel there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I'm really about the action. So good on Pharrell. Love that. But speaking of endorsements, I got to tell you, Kamala Harris is getting all the good ones for the right. IRS agent union has endorsed Kamala Harris after they passed the bill to get them more agents. There was like 84 million agents or something like that during the Inflation Reduction Act, which more government spending on the Inflation Reduction Act is just going to cause more inflation. Again, that bill did nothing that it said it was going to do. It was a Green New Deal and then adding agents so that they can go after everyday people. Because again, they think that they are going to go after, I mean, the left seems to think that they will go after the rich. They're going to go after corporations. Well, corporations don't pay taxes. They just pass those costs on to the consumers. And well, I had the stat. It was something like, 80%. It was something like 80% of the people that get audited by the IRS are low to middle class. It's generally not the top one. It's not the rich people that are getting audited by the IRS, and usually that's because of those people have accountants. Right? So they have accountants and they're going to get their taxes right. And those lower income people don't necessarily have the money to defend themselves if they were to get audited and then charges brought against them. So it's a whole scam to actually go after the lower, the lower class, the poor class. The poor. And yeah, you're right, Ronnie. Ronnie says, I can't believe the IRS needs a union. What a bunch of P words. I'm not going to say that on YouTube, Ronnie, but yeah, no, you're right. Public sector unions are insane. Like, you are a public employee. You can't negotiate. I mean, usually, again, like public service employees have, it's set terms anyways. There's really no need for a union. Because, like, for example, it's all pay grades. Like, there's different pay grades and everything like that. So, like, when I was in the military, you knew when you were up for promotion and when it was all based on time and service and experiences. Like, you had to hit certain benchmarks and then before you could go in front of the board to be promoted, but it's based on pay grade. Those pay grades, every single pay grade gets paid the same amount unless you're on like jump status, and then you get extra hazard duty pay and stuff like that on different statuses, but it's all the same. So like an E3 in one unit makes the same as an E3, the same as that E3 in the other unit. You can go online and exactly what a person is getting paid. Well, I'm pretty sure all public sector jobs, they have the same thing. It's the same pay grade. It's the GS status. So you get like a GS 12 clearance. I think is the highest you can get. Like the GS, I think that's what it is. What is it? But it's like a civilian. So your civilian rank pay grades are the same. So why in the world do you have a union for public sector employees? What do they actually do? They just rip people off is really what it is. They're just taking your money because they don't think that you can negotiate with the government about, and that's what it is. I mean, but it's like there is no negotiation. They pay you your pay grade. And then you get, those employees would go to lobbyists to try to get raises and stuff like that and working conditions. I don't know. But again, so the IRS, Dick Cheney, basically the military industrial complex, all of them have started to endorse Kamala Harris. And it's really interesting because it's obvious that they're taking these as a positive thing. And the left is becoming the pro-war party, and they, they're owning it now. They are owning that they are the pro-war party. I mean, today, and I don't have this on the list, but you see the one person who was actually considered for Kamala's VP pick, what is it? Josh Shapiro, from the governor of Pennsylvania, I believe, right? Check me on that. But it's Josh Shapiro. He was with Vladimir Zelensky today, visiting an arms factory So Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, they were at the arms factory, and he was signing bombs that were going to go overseas. Now I remember this being like a big thing, like oh yeah, this is we're going to drop this bomb. But somebody, the post said he's basically signing death certificates when you think about what he's doing there. And they're not even worried about, pushing this into World War III. They don't. We're going to keep escalating, and we're about to be in World War III. So yeah, and that's what happens when you get it. The Democrats pushing for that stuff. But on the other side, kind of funny is the Teamsters union, which are in like those Rust Belt states, Midwest states like Michigan, and that are building like your vehicles and stuff like that. Like those unions in the blue collar worker unions, they decided to so the union itself decided to not endorse anybody. They're like, we're not going to endorse anybody. And obviously Trump said they're not endorsing when they've always endorsed Democrats. That's a win for me. Hey, thanks for the endorsement, I think is what he said. But then it turns out the reason why they're not endorsing anybody is because they're in their internal pool of members, the members overwhelmingly supported Donald Trump, not the Democrat. That's actually, that's huge. And so they said in the electronic member poll, Harris received just 34% of support, while Trump received 59.6% of support. And then when the other option for other candidates received 6.4%. And so in the research phone poll, Harris received just 31%, while Trump received 58%. 5% said don't know. In the Teamster presidential town hall straw poll conducted in person when the race was against Trump and Biden received 44.3%. So since Biden dropped out of the race and Trump had the Teamsters are like, I'm not voting for her, but they were going to vote for Biden. Biden actually would have won the straw poll, did win the straw poll, but then they completely flipped. A lot of those people that would have voted for Biden are now voting for Trump, that are working in these, again, blue collar, Rust Belt, Midwest states. And so they said, the Teamsters announced the results of the poll. It says, for the past year, the Teamsters Union pledged to conduct the most inclusive, democratic, and transparent presidential endorsement process in the history of our organization. And today we deliver our promise to our members. Our members are the union, and their voices and opinions must be at the forefront of everything the Teamsters do. Our final decision around a possible presidential endorsement will not be made lightly, but you can be sure it will be driven. The Teamsters have not yet endorsed any candidate for president. The union's general executive board expects to announce a decision on Wednesday. But they all voted. Now there is some of these individual unions for different. I don't want to get it wrong, but there's the Teamsters steel workers unions. There's the auto union. Well, that's the UAW is mostly the auto unions, but even truck drivers I think have unions and they would be like Teamsters and stuff. So a lot of these union, they have different branches. And I think I saw one of the local branches of one of the Teamsters unions actually did endorse Kamala, but it's like, are they just doing it for political points? Are they actually listening to their members, because their national membership said Trump over Kamala? So it's interesting, and it's kind of ironic to see. But let's move on. Let's move on to the top story from, when does this come out? Does this come out today? Yeah, this came out today. So the top story, craziness to me. The Department of Justice this morning released a letter that confirmed that this was an assassination attempt on President Trump's life was last week, and then put a bounty on Trump's head to whom quote, okay, to whomever can finish the job is what it says, is what the letter says. So let me see if I have the letter itself. So at first it starts is, "Dear world, this was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I'm sorry I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster." The letter also offered a $150,000 reward to anybody that can actually do it. I don't understand why they thought the need to actually release this letter. Like, they released this letter that basically is putting a hit on Donald Trump's life, and they still haven't released the Covington Shooters Manifesto because they thought that that was too dangerous. Where we've seen what's gone with this, this is almost like they wanted this to get coverage. They wanted to push this out there. Like, if I didn't think that the deep state wanted to, if I wasn't thinking that the deep state was, real and was not looking forward to a Trump presidency and was scared, this confirms it. This would have confirmed it for me. Like, this would have changed my mind completely. I don't get it. Oh, Adrian Curry's here. I don't think he's gonna make it till November. No, I'm legit concerned. Because now, like, they're blaming him. The media is blaming Trump for basically victim blaming Trump. And now some crazy psycho is gonna look and see there's a $150,000 hit on Trump, and some crazy person is going to try and act on it again and think that they're going to get $150,000. Like, do I think that, like, I don't think that anybody would get that money. I don't think that money is real. I don't think that this person even has $150,000 to his name. Yeah, I think you're right. They probably did it to blame this letter for the next attempt. I think it's crazy scary to me. Like, if you think that, like, I'm not usually in favor of, I'm usually more in favor of transparency by the government and the government agencies as to not, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories that could be cleared up with more information. But nobody was even thinking this. Like, did they release it to say that, to show a motive? Did they it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't even redact that last part. Because it's like they're trying to get Trump killed. I don't know. And kind of talking about what we talked about last week, you have people since then, even still, downright victim blaming Donald Trump. Don Lemon, who was fired from CNN, right, and then had his show on Twitter canceled after doing the interview with Elon. He says Trump needs to stop threatening democracy if he wants Kamala to say he is. Basically saying if Donald Trump wants to stop being a threat, stop getting shot at or people trying to take shots at his life, then maybe he should stop being a threat to democracy. Like, and this was the day after the attempt, last Sunday's attempt. Lemon said, the effort is right to lower the temperature on political rhetoric in America. And as we enter the final days, this bizarre election season, but Donald Trump and his folks to say, and JD Vance, that is, Democrats are causing this. Lemon turned to the notes and began to read. Hillary Clinton made some assertions on Rachel Maddow's show, blah, 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 blah. Actually, I got the video clip. Okay.
Actually agree. It's going to, I'm sure some people will be surprised by this, by at least the effort. I think it's right to sort of lower the temperature. But for Donald Trump and his folks to say, and JD Vance to say that it's Democrats who are causing this.
Right. You just heard JD Vance say that.
That's an issue. I wrote down some notes when I saw it. Do you mind if I read this?
Yeah, no. Because you know what? Actually, I want you to know you were sitting just off.
I was just sitting
set when we played the JD Vance.
And I'll just get through some of it. So he's called everyone who works in this building the enemy of the people.
Yep.
Right. We had pipe bombs sent because he kept calling us the enemy of the people, and that CNN was fake news. Crooked Joe, crooked Hillary, crooked Kamala, comrade Kamala, deranged Jack Smith, bird brain Nikki Haley, bloodbath if he's not elected. There won't be another election if he's not elected. Bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, poisoning the blood of our country, destroying the blood of our country, which was something that was Hitler-esque. Communist, Marxist, fascist, left-leaning that live like vermin. Sons of bitches to NBA players. Shithole countries. Haiti was one, and now he's blaming Haitian immigrants for things. Blood coming out of her wherever, as he talked about Megyn Kelly. And so if Donald Trump wants Kamala Harris and others to stop saying that he is a threat to democracy, then he should stop threatening democracy. Perhaps he shouldn't be.
I mean, y'all saw my reaction when he pushed the bloodbath lie again, because obviously he was talking about the auto industry, and yeah, he is the poster child for smug. We just talked about the Biden-Harris administration talking about Haiti, telling people not to go to Haiti because it's dangerous. So it is a shithole country right now, right? Yeah. So a lot of that stuff there's a lot there, but remember, they're calling down Trump a threat to democracy. He's literally Hitler. Then they have these thought projects, right? Or these thought provoking questions where they say, where you ask, is it morally right? Would it be morally right to go back in time and, kill Hitler if you could? Would you do that? And then not understanding that when you're calling somebody literally Hitler and then you're asking these thought-provoking questions and you have Hitler in front of you, what would you do? That leads to this violence. Now, I am somebody who has always said that the person that does this type of that does bomb threats are not good for anybody on the right. If you haven't noticed, if you're calling in bomb threats, it's obviously not good. And who knows if those are actually people on the right? We have the what is it? It's not deep fake, but it's like the Jussie Smollett, the fake, the hoaxes, where it's somebody. It could be somebody on the left that calls it in. But again, I digress and say, if it's somebody on the right, it does nothing to help your cause. Political violence usually goes against your cause. in any situation, political violence goes against your cause. So there's no reason to actually do it. But to say, to blame this, to push this all on one side as if it's only coming from the side. Remember, we talked about it last week where Karine Jean-Pierre said it was it was when asked by Peter Doocy whether it was whether it was time for them to stop calling Donald Trump a threat, stop using the word threat as you're trying to say in one breath to tone down the rhetoric, and then calling him a threat. She obviously she took offense to that, like, and then said it was dangerous for you to even ask me that question. But it's not okay. But it's not dangerous for you to then call Donald Trump a threat. So to even insinuate that her rhetoric, her calling Donald Trump a threat, could make people think that he's a threat that, quote, would need that would some crazy person might want to try to kill him. It's insane to me. Like, again, they will victim blame and then not have they don't have any self-awareness of their own positions, and this is why I can never do this. Now, I say that, but I gotta tell you, in a lot of ways, I respect this move from Chris Cuomo, who, if you remember, Chris Cuomo used to follow Don Lemon on CNN. They were working right. Is that he actually called Trump and said he's ashamed of how the media is blaming him, which almost seems like a direct shot at his former buddy and pal, Don Lemon. Adrian says, what's more insane to me is my friends and family gobble up all this propaganda. Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the whole Kamala reading the teleprompter stuff during the Oprah interview, where that was a lie. But the thing is, I do believe that the right, in a lot more ways, does their own research on stuff, and so they are able to call out a lot of this propaganda. Whereas a lot of leftist voters are not doing their own research and actually seeing that all this stuff has been debunked. Even by, like, Snopes debunked the bloodbath thing, right? They debunked the fine people stuff, right? Which is that's a pretty big one. But it's like, and I tell you, I was talking about this before, I think I talked about this last week with the Tim Harris or Tim Walz. The Tim Walz situation, when everybody attacked his son, I said, I don't like, I didn't like seeing that. I don't like when the left is there. And people would say, well, the left does it to Trump. No, you're not going to win this game. You're not going to win this game. You win the game by being better. You win the game by holding your side more accountable than what the other side does than the other side does. I expect more from people on the right. I expect the people on the right to get it right. I don't expect very much from the left. I expect them to be bad people for the most part. Like I said, I mean, this is, again, we're generally, when we talk about a lot of this stuff too, we're talking about the mainstream media. We're talking about the political class. We're talking about the people that are perpetually online that create these that create the perception for everybody, even on the left. Like I was talking about earlier, I have a lot of friends that are still on the left, and we can disagree on policy. We can disagree on a lot of stuff, but they're just not as politically in line on a lot of that. They're like they're not perpetually online. The people that most people in everyday life. I've said this quite a bit throughout the last few years as I've been on here, especially talking about not just talking about politics, but talking about like trans issues and stuff like that. And I always say that most everyday people, like, the internet's not real. Most people don't care who you are, what you do, as long as you're like a good person. Nobody's really out here worrying about this. This is why people get. So actually, at the Blair White event the other day, somebody asked kind of a question about propaganda and how and it kind of turned into talking about how those on the left tend to vote with their emotions. And this is what happens with like LGBT issues, especially. They vote, they look at what's being said and they emotionally internalize it. Now, you know, the right, Ben Shapiro said, facts don't care about your feelings. And I think that that's the way that a lot of people on the right, their brains work. Like, I want the facts, I want this. But in reality, your average everyday person, in order to win them over, it really is, feelings don't care about your facts. If it makes people feel bad, they're not going to like it. And so if they don't feel like something's right, they're not going to believe it, or they're going to believe it because they're being told this and it makes them feel bad. And it is interesting, because you're right, Adrian, is that a lot of the people on the left, they do tend to bail on you when you say that you're conservative, when you don't believe in lockstep. And I know a lot more people on the right who tend to be okay and not talk politics about stuff, because I'm a libertarian, so I'm kind of used to just trying to get in where I fit in and try to make nice with everybody, because I'm never going to agree with, I don't think I agree with anyone 100% of the time on anything. So if that's what you're looking for, I'm not the right person to be your friend, because I'm not going to. Let's talk about this last story. I think this is the last one. Oh yeah, talking about like propaganda. We'll move here. Just mentioning this, Nancy Pelosi is now rewriting history and claiming that Democrats had an open primary and Kamala won it. Now, I think she misspoke. I will say I think she misspoke, because they didn't have a primary. An open primary is in like a state like Georgia. We have open primaries here in Georgia where we don't have voter registration. I only think like there's like 28 states, I think, have voter registration. So we don't register for a party. So when we go to vote in a primary, we tell them, I want a Republican, independent, or Democratic ballot. And you can just walk up as a registered voter in Georgia and you get one or the other. Just get one or the other, and that's it. But yeah, trying to rewrite history. Now, again, they had an open convention. So I think that's what she was trying to say. But open primary, it does sound like she's trying to rewrite history, because none of that happened. But Kamala Harris didn't get a single vote by the people. They installed her. Another story that's came up was this story from here in my home state or my state that I live in, Georgia, where Kamala Harris claimed that this woman in 2021 died because of our heartbeat bill here in the state. But then you go and you actually look into it, and I actually had a friend that went off on this, and I was like, that's if you look at what actually happened. So she's trying to say that, so they said in 2022 the death of Amber Thurman. After finding out that she was pregnant with twins, she traveled to North Carolina to receive an abortion since Georgia had already done our 6-week. She was at 9 weeks, and we had already done our 6-week ban after 6 weeks. And after Roe v. Wade was ended. So in North Carolina, she received abortion pills, taking one at the clinic and then the second when she returned home to Georgia. What ended up happening is there was a rare complication to where the body did not expel the parts of the baby out from the body. So she had to go to the hospital, and apparently I think she went late to the hospital. And they claim that they didn't do, and they took her to the hospital after she fainted, so she didn't go early enough. And then they would have needed to do a DNC, or a dilation and curettage, which would have removed remaining tissue, which was not conducted until the day after. So they waited 24 hours to even conduct a DNC. They were trying to treat her and not do it. Now they're claiming that because of the law, that a DNC is not allowed under Georgia law, because except for, I mean, there is the exception there, but except for in different cases. It was to other than for a miscarriage, but that's not true. Again, so the Georgia law has exceptions for the life of the mother. The Georgia law also defines a abortion, the killing of a living baby. By the time she got to the hospital, the babies were already dead, and so a DNC would have needed to happen. The law just says that you can't use a DNC to go in there and kill the baby and then remove it. So again, they're trying to make this about abortion and spread this misinformation. It's all lies. All they do is lie and spread this misinformation. But a lot of people, and again, I was seeing people that I know talking about this, and they're in the know, but so they were even getting it wrong when it came to this issue. And so if people that are really good at, that work in this industry, that know how the lies and propaganda happen, are still getting fooled by this, what makes you think that, like, your average everyday person, that's not involved online, they're going to see this, it's going to make them angry. It's going to make them, and this is already a big issue in this election. And I don't talk about abortion a lot on here. I am pro-life, but I think that it's an issue that we can look at with a lot of nuance. I'm not a hardliner, and so I think that we can have reasonable discussion about what to do in abortion. And I mean, one of the reasons I don't talk about it very much is because never in my life now would I ever be in a situation where there could be, period. There's not going to be an abortion happening with me. Obviously, I'm a male. I'm a male. I don't have a uterus, can't get an abortion. But also, I would never be getting anybody pregnant. So it's just one of those things that's never going to affect me. But I would tell you that I would never advise. I would never. This is something that I would never have anybody do. I think it's wrong. I think it's immoral. I think that there's different ways to, obviously to prevent abortion there. And, I'm not a huge fan of hormone birth control for the same reason I talk about SSRIs and other medications with harmful side effects. But I would say, like, if you're talking about the exceptions of rape, incest, and the life of a mother, those are highly rare. They're not done a lot. But I think that even that those are still exceptions. Life of the mother in this case would have saved this woman's life. The law did not prevent her from getting anything in this situation. It's a sad situation, though. I think every rape kit has Plan B in it, so it would it would never even implant. So there's just different ways to go about it, and more education needs to be done with it. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation, Adrian, if it was safe, legal, and Adrian says if it was safe, legal, and rare, who would I be to judge somebody for doing it? But it isn't. It's frequent and obsessively done. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I do know of people that have had abortions, and I don't judge them for making that choice. I don't shun them for making the choice when they were in a tough situation and when they were young. But I know people that were offered abortion and they had their children because they thought it was wrong, and it was the best thing that ever happened to them. They never once regret that decision to do it. I don't like it's hard to really go into, but I think if it was safe, legal, and rare, and we limited it even to first trimester, then I don't think that as many people, there wouldn't be it wouldn't be as big of an issue. You would still have a lot of you'd still have a lot of debate. You'd have the pro-life, and then you'd have the pro-abortion that wants it up until birth, or even after birth, as the old governor of Virginia had said. I don't think we would be having this conversation, though. I don't think it would be one of the biggest issues being talked about. But yeah, Jen McMahon says, look into the Harvard essay of the end of gender. What's the Harvard essay on that? Because I have this book right here, if this is what you're talking about. But yeah, I'll look to see if that's what it is. I'll check. I'll look that up. But yes, we have come to the end of the show today. Again, as always, thank you for joining me. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, it's going to be Thursday on this channel, not the Free the People channel. It's going to be on this channel. Me and Logan are going to be talking about this book, Freedom Over Fear, from new book just published on Amazon. And you can go to the Free the People website. It's listed over there, so you can check it out. Get yourself a copy. We will be talking all about this and everything behind that. And that will be Thursday on this channel at 7 p.m. I appreciate every single one of you. I can't wait. Again, I can't wait till the Blair White video comes out. And so you can see that was such a fun event. Just crazy. But thank you all again for joining. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like and subscribe button. Follow me across all social media platforms, and I will see you next time.